If I only go off of what my history says about me or who my parents said I am, my family says I am, if who people said I am, the world says I am, then guess what? It limits me.
Walk it like I talk it, yeah, I walk it. Yeah. Flowers never grow without some water.
What's going on? I would like to officially welcome y'all to the Lion's Den. I am your host, Pastor D. And today I'm going to be talking to you from the topic of my cross is mine to carry. And in Matthew chapter 16, verses 24 through 26 in the Amplified version, it talks about how discipleship is costly. It starts off and it says that then Jesus said to his disciples, if anyone wishes to follow me as my disciple, he must first deny himself, set aside self-interest, and take up his cross, expressing a willingness to endure whatever may come and follow me, believing in me, conforming to my example in living, and if need be, suffering or perhaps dying because of faith in me. In verse 25, it says, for whoever wishes to save his life in this world will eventually lose it through death. But whoever loses his life in this world for my sake will find it. That is life with me for all eternity. And then in the last verse, in verse 26, it states, and it says, for what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world, wealth, fame, success, but forfeits his soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? And so I got a couple key points that I want to talk to you guys from concerning this. Again, my cross is mine to carry. The first key point I want to talk to us about is, what does it mean to deny myself? Now, to deny myself means that I'm willing to let go of all that I thought I knew about me in order to learn who God says that I am. See, there's a version of us that we grow up knowing. We know who we are through our family, through our family's genes, through generational, upbringings and blessings or cursings. We get to know who we are, through our upbringing. But there is a side of us that we yet to know until we truly come into God and we begin to deny those things that we once knew about who we were, and we begin to accept the things about who God says that we are. Another way is that denying me means that I'm no longer willing to accept, and this is kind of what I was talking about, my history as my identity. This can be a limitation that causes me to be stagnant, because if I only go off of what my history says about me or who my parents said I am, my family says I am, if who people said I am, the world says I am, then guess what? It limits me when I come into God. Because if I keep the mindset of this is who I have always known myself to be, this is who the world has always told me I was, then I limit God and who he can make me and who he can transform me into being. So what does it mean to deny myself? It means that I'm willing to let go of what I always thought I knew, and I'm willing to learn about myself, because there are still some things about us and about self that we need to learn about ourselves, because we don't have it all figured out. We don't go, through every day of life just having all the answers. Sometimes it requires you to humble yourself and to say, you know what, God, I may not have the answer for this. I may not have the answer for that. So I must seek God for the answers that I need. And so it causes you to come out of self, to deny self, and to humble yourself and to submit yourself to God, to say, God, you know what's right for me. You know what I need. You know what I'm in need of. You know what I'm going through. You know the answer for my situation. So I'm willing to deny myself. I'm willing to deny everything that I have been taught, everything that I have been brought up in. I'm willing to deny that so that I can get to know a new version of me and you. The next point I want to talk to us about is, how do I take up my cross? And a lot of us, we may struggle with this. We may not understand, well, how is it possible for me to carry my cross? How is it possible to take up my cross? It means that I'm willing to take responsibility and ownership of my life. The moment where I can own me, the moment where I can be responsible for me, be it my highs, my lows, my good, my bad, my shortcomings, my falls, my mess ups, my sins, my hiccups. The moment I'm willing to take accountability and responsibility for all of that is the moment that I have known that I have taken up my cross and I begin to walk with God. I'm no longer looking to place blame on people. I'm no longer looking to place to play the victim. I'm not looking to make somebody else own what I've done, but I'm taking ownership. And this is what it simply means to take up your cross. carrying my cross gives me something to nail my struggles to. And I love this because what Jesus taught us about the cross is that the cross isn't a place that we're supposed to stay attached to, but it's a place that we are to nail things to. If you think about it, when Jesus came and when he gave his life, like how he said in his word, no one took my life, but I laid it down. So when Jesus gave his life on our behalf and on our account, he went to the cross and he was crucified. That meaning that everything that he took on our account and on our behalf, they nailed it to that cross when they nailed him to that cross. And when he was no longer on the cross, and when he died and he went to hell to take the sting out of death and to take the keys from Satan, when he came back alive, when he left the tomb, everything that he nailed, that he took for us, that he carried for us, that he endured for us, that he nailed on that cross, he left it there. He left it there. He didn't stay attached to it. He didn't keep on carrying the sorrows and the pains and the hurt and the abuse and the shame. He didn't continue to carry those things, but he kept it nailed to the cross. So when we're carrying our cross, one thing I want us to understand, it's a daily thing. I'm going to pick up my cross on Monday. Everything that I go through on Monday, that I struggle with on Monday, I'm going to nail it to it. If I feel depression, sadness, if I feel struggles, if I feel sin, if I feel shortcomings, falls, whatever it is that I feel, I'm going to nail it to the cross. Tuesday, okay, let me get myself a new cross, because today I got I may have some different things from Monday that I may need to nail to this Tuesday cross. So it's an everyday thing that we must learn to do. We must learn to pick up a cross daily. And that cross that we pick up, we're not to stay attached to it. We have to learn how to let it go. And the last thing I'll say about this is that the weight of your cross is determined by the load and the burdens that you carry without unloading. If you never unload that Monday cross and you're still on Friday, guess what? You're carrying everything from Monday to Tuesday, from Wednesday, from Thursday, and here you are on Friday with that same cross that you failed to put down after Monday was over, and pick up a new cross on Tuesday. Now every burden, everything that you was carrying from Monday is going to be on you all week, because I don't know how to detach from that. I don't know how to get away from it. You have to be okay with letting it go. You have to be okay with the unloading process. And some of us, we become hoarders in a way. We become creatures of habit, to where we love to stay attached to people, places, and things that make us feel comfortable. You get what I'm saying? And so when God calls us away from things, we have a hard time detaching, because we put so much stock, we put so much faith, we put so much into things that we become attached to, that it's so hard for us to simply let go when God says, I need you to move here. I need you to move there. I need you to let this go. I need you to let them go. I need you to move away from this relationship. I need you to move from this state to this state. I need you to go, and I need you to be free, but we can't be, because we are carrying too much. And so again, we have to remember that the weight of our cross is going to be determined again by the personal load and burdens that we carry without ever unloading. The next point I want to talk to us about is, in what ways am I trying to save my life? It says he that looks to save his life will eventually lose it. Holding on to traditions and the need to control our lives, our lack of faith to trust God to lead our lives. This is a way that we try to save our lives, is that we try to keep true to the traditions of man. We try to keep true to the traditions of our family, of our cultures, of our nature as a human. We try to keep true to these traditions and hold on. And I don't want to let that go. I don't want to let this go. I'm not ready to give this up. This is how we try to save our lives, is by holding on to things that God is requiring for us to let go. Because as humans, it's natural for us to want to be in control. It's natural for us to want to be in control of our lives. So much, even to the point, like how I said, that we lack faith and even simply trusting God to just lead our lives. When you understand that God has your tomorrow, that God has your now, he has your next day, your next week, your next month, it becomes easier for you to trust him, because you realize that I couldn't have gotten this far without God. I couldn't have done this without God. I couldn't have done that without God. I couldn't have made it without God. And so you begin to let go of control and the need to be in control and to have things going your way in order for you to feel comfortable. And you begin to say, you know what, God, I'm a simply trust you. I'm going to stop trying to save my life because I know the more I fight it, I'm going to lose it anyway. The more I fight it, the worse it's only going to get. I'm only making it bad for myself the more I keep fighting against what it is that you're trying to change in my life or what you're trying to shift in my life. You calling me away from this, but this is comfort for me. And I don't know my life outside of this place. So if I let go and I just simply go where you're telling me to go, I don't know what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. We're always afraid of the unknown as humans. But again, it's best that we learn to trust God. Another way that we try to save our lives is we try to save our lives by putting our wills and our plans over the will of God and the plans that God has for our lives. It's when we think that we know it better than God knows it. This is how we also attempt to try to save our lives. I'll try to keep as much as I can and hold on to as much as I can for as long as I can, because that's simply your will. But there is a will that God has for us that is prosperous, that's beneficial in us letting go and trusting God and moving forward with God. The next thing is not willing to let go of my hold on people, places, and things. And this is a very tough one for a lot of us. And it's no judgment. I know what it's like. I've been there. I know what it's like to struggle to let go of people, places, and things. I know what it's like to struggle to let go of mindsets and thoughts and seeds that were planted. I know what it's like to feel that. I know that struggle all too well. And so our willingness to not let go and to hold on to these things is what keeps us behind and lacking in life. As I stated earlier, it's what keeps us stagnant, in life and unable to move freely the way that God would so desire for us to move. The next point is that I was meant to lose my life. I was meant to lose my life. When you understand that there are reasons, seasons, and there's lifetimes, that something simply has an expiration date. Some people simply have an expiration date. Seasons of life are never going to be the same. Every season that we journey through in life is going to be a different experience. It's going to be a different experience, and we have to be willing to understand that. We have to be willing to accept that. And so knowing that I was meant to lose my life, yes, God invites us to come as we are. But one thing that I love so much, and we get this misconstrued a lot, is that God never promised that if you came as you are, you're going to stay as you are. That's the invitation. The invitation is that you don't have to try to fix everything, get it all right, be perfect before you come to me. Just come as you are, and I'll do the rest. I'll do the cleanup. I'll do that which is necessary for your journey, through your journey, upon your journey. So God invites us, he says, to come as you are. But guess what? When you come as you are, it's going to require you to lose who you've always been. It's going to require you to lose the mindsets that you had. It's going to require you to lose the behavior patterns. It's going to require you to lose so much of what you have become accustomed to in your own life and your leading of yourself. The next thing is trying to hold on to what you're meant to lose. Is like fighting a losing battle. You're not going to win. What's meant to happen will happen because life doesn't need your permission. When you figure that out, the fight literally, it's not a fight anymore. I'm gonna lose it anyway. This person gonna leave anyway. God gonna bring an end to this anyway. There's a saying that we probably know all too well. It says all good things come to an end. What that lets you know is that it don't matter how good it is. At some point in life, it's gonna come to an end. And so what we have to learn with this and accepting that we were meant to lose our life is simply accepting that one day things may not be the way that they have always been. And it's okay. It is okay. When you stop trying to stop the will of God, when you stop trying to fight against what was destined to happen and what's going to happen anyway, it takes the stress off of you. It takes the worry off of you. It takes the load, the heaviness. It takes it off of you. The next point is that it is more beneficial. Is it more beneficial? And it's a question. Is it more beneficial to profit the world if it leads me to losing my soul? And this is something that we need to sit with and really think about. Is it more beneficial for me to profit the whole world if it leads me to losing my soul? The world will paint a picture, a pretty tempting picture at that, to lure you in, but you have to understand that the cost is deadly. Gain, be it good or bad, will always cost you something. Gain will always cost you something, be it good or bad. But no matter how pretty that picture is, no matter how tempting that thing is, you have to really, before you just indulge in it, you got to ask yourself, is it worth me losing my mind? Before I get into this relationship, is it worth me losing myself over someone who may not love or appreciate me or cherish me or honor me or whatever the case may be, or see me? Before I take this job, is it worth me not having enough time to spend with my family, to take care of my marriage, to take care of my children? It's a lot that you have to consider. Because again, no matter if the gain is a good gain or a bad gain, it's going to cost you something. And sometimes that cost can literally, like I said, it can be deadly because it can kill off some things. It may not always be a physical death, but it could be a spiritual death. It could be a connection death. You get what I'm saying? It could kill relationships or marriages or things that were good before you entered into that realm and you accepted this position, or you said yes to this or yes to them. The next thing is, I can have all I ever wanted, but will my soul be satisfied? And I love, because the Bible, it tells us, it says that in the heart of man, they're never satisfied. So it don't matter. It don't matter how much you give of yourself. It don't matter how much you give, no matter how much you gain. There's going to always be a longing in you for more. I need more. I need more. I need more. I want more. I'm not satisfied. I need to keep climbing. I need to keep going. I need to keep gaining. So yeah, you can have all that you ever wanted, but what's most important is that you are at peace, is that you are joyful, that you are grateful, that you are full of love and light. Will I be happy, or is what I'm looking to gain causing me more misery than anything? If it costs you your sanity, if it costs you your happiness, if it costs you your joy, your peace, then guess what? It costs you too much. It costs you too much. We have to remember when Satan tempted Jesus. Jesus, he was fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. And it says the moment he finished, it says that Satan took him up on his high mountain and he offered Jesus the world. But what Satan was asking of Jesus, it was entirely too much for him to give up. In order for Jesus to gain what it was that Satan was offering him, he would have had to deny himself as the Son of God and as the Savior of this world. He would have had to give up so much of who he was and his mission. He would have had to stop serving God. He would have had to stop being about his Father's will, about his Father's business. He would have had to give up the healing, all of that. But Jesus wasn't moved by the offer because he knew what he stood for was worth far more than what Satan had to offer him. It was far more valuable than what Satan tried to lay at his feet. So with that being said, the thing that I want us to know is that we have to know our worth. When you know your worth, you can't be just sold any and everything. You won't be an easy sell. No matter who it is that's attempting to sell you, whatever it is they're attempting you to sell, when you know your worth and your value, and you know where you stand and just how much you mean and how much you matter, I'm not sold on that. I'm not giving into that. I'm not buying into that. The last thing is that I want us to leave us with, and that I really want us to understand, is the exchange. It talks about there is an exchange, right? A couple of exchanges that I want us to understand is the one that your will in exchange for God's will, which is far more valuable. You have to be willing to give up your will in order to gain the will of God. You can't have, like how they say, you can't have your cake and eat it too. It can't be, God, I'm going to do it this way and I'm going to kind of do what you're telling me to do. No, I have to really deny my will in exchange for God's will. And when you know and you understand that God's will is way more valuable than your personal will, You'll have no problem in giving that up. Ask me how I know, because I'm coming to grips with that. I've had to come to grips with that and still coming to grips with that. That where now I'm in a place where, you know what, God, if it ain't beneficial, if it ain't for my good, I don't want it. If you calling me to give it up, hey, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to simply just trust you. Another exchange is that the life you've always known in exchange for a new life in Christ Jesus. Sounds pretty amazing to me. You mean to tell me that I can give up my life of misery? I can give up my life of hurt and pain, and you're willing to give me a life of beauty, of flowers, of peace, of hope, of joy. Not to say that, I still, won't go through tests and trials here and there and experience some things, but you mean to tell me that you're willing to give me a much better life than the life that I've always known? Sounds pretty fair to me. Sounds like a fair exchange to me. It's fair exchange, no robbery. If you giving up something, you have to understand that God has something better for you. The next exchange is your earthly desires in exchange for heavenly treasure. Your earthly desires in exchange for heavenly treasure. With that exchange, you understand that it's more valuable for me to have treasures in heaven than it is for me to have earthly treasures. It's more valuable for me to build up my storehouse in heaven than it is for me to try to continue to build up my earthly desires and needs and wants. Because once I'm gone, I can't take any of this earthly stuff with me. So yeah, my earthly desires and wants and needs in exchange for heavenly treasure is a pretty cool exchange, isn't it? And the last exchange is that your loaded cross. Remember that cross we talked about, your loaded cross. And cross is an exchange for healing. Because just like I said, that cross I carry on Monday, everything that I nailed to it, guess what? At the end of that day, I give it over to God before I lay down and go to sleep. God, that cross I carry today, I'm giving it to you. Guess what God gonna say? He gonna take the cross and he gonna give me the healing that I need. He gonna give me the deliverance that I need. He's going to give me everything I need as I give up something. What are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up you in exchange for who God has called and chosen you to be? Are you willing to carry your cross with no excuses? Are you willing to take responsibility for your life? Are you willing to accept the fact that your cross is yours to carry? You have to deny yourself. You have to be willing to give up the life you've always known and stop trying to save it. You have to be willing to follow Jesus with everything that's within you. You have to be willing to commit yourself to God, to the process, to the healing, to the deliverance. You have to be willing to do these things. You have to be willing to follow him, like how he says, conform to his example and living, even if that means you got to suffer a little bit. The Bible says in order to reign with him, we must first suffer. But the sufferings that we go through is not to be compared to the glory that we're going to see be revealed. The cross is mine to carry. I'm willing to carry it. My question for you again today is, are you willing to carry your cross? I appreciate y'all for joining me. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with somebody that you feel may need this message. And until next time, God bless.
Wisdom is for free, but yet it's overpriced. And I never seen success happen overnight.